Rothenberg of WBAI FM in New York, 99.5, listener-sponsored radio in New York City. Good morning, Heather Wasser. Are you with us?
I am. Good morning.
Hi. This segment's going to be called It Takes a Village. And before we go into the reason why we're talking, the extraordinary adventure that your town is involved in, maybe you can give us a little background about the town of Haworth. Where are you, and how big are you, and how did you become elected to the town council?
Thank you. First of all, thank you for having me. I love talking about Haworth. We are a town in what's called the Northern Valley of Bergen County in New Jersey. We're about 14 miles north of the George Washington Bridge. Suburb. Many of the professionals that work here work in Manhattan or one of the surrounding boroughs. And we have about 3,500 people. And I decided to run last year. And so I'm finishing. I was inducted, I'm losing the word, but January. It'll be a year in January that I've officially been sitting in the chair on the town council, and it's been fantastic.
Well, I'm familiar with Haworth because I have a lot of relatives that have, almost all my relatives live in Haworth, and I was,
them all.
and you know them all, and I spent Thanksgiving dinner at my cousin Jennifer's there, and all I heard about was the town responding to one of the townspeople, a Nigerian-born resident who has been living in Haworth for over 20 years, a journalist who went back to his home country of Nigeria, I guess this summer, and has been an outspoken critic of the politics that's been currently taking place in Nigeria, and he was locked up and has been for nearly 150 days, and the town of Haworth has been responding to his neighbor. So tell us about the journalist known as Yele. Is that how we call him? Y-E-L-E?
Yeah.
Yele
Sowore.
And his involvement in the community and what led to his arrest and what the town is doing and how can the rest of us non-Haworthians, what we can do to support you.
Okay, so let me try to take that one at a time. So first and foremost, as far as Haworth is concerned, he's a dad and a husband. He is part of the large running community we have here. We have an annual 5K every fall, and he was always out there running the 5K, which is a huge, for a town of our size, that's like a holiday. Everyone is out participating in some way, even if it's just cheering. He was a soccer sideline dad, a dad that would walk his kids to school on the first day of school. So he is part of the fabric of our community.
His name is?
His name is Omoyele Sowore.
Yele's his nickname, I know. It's
yes, Omoyele.
Omoyele. Oh, that's it. So the Yele is the last part of his first name, Omoyele.
Correct.
I got it.
So professionally, he took his graduate degree from Columbia University in New York, and professionally for more than 20, I think it's almost 30 years, since he was a young man, he has been a dedicated human rights activist on behalf of Nigeria. Nigeria is only a democracy for 20 years. It was a military regime. And whatever sparked his passion as a young man, he is an adamant advocate against political misconduct, against corruption, which is still a daily struggle in what's supposed to be a democracy. And his core principle is Nigeria for all Nigerians. And when he went there, it's 134 days today. He traveled back to Nigeria in early August for a planned peaceful protest. It was advertised. It was not meant to be anything but a peaceful protest for all of his ideals. And they kidnapped him from his hotel room in the middle of the night. And that was the last he's been seen out of custody.
Is he a professional journalist? Is that his...
He is. He created a journalist website, Sahara Reporters, whose main focus is reporting news out of Nigeria, exposing misdeeds out of Nigeria as well as good news out of Nigeria.
Does Yele still have a family living in Nigeria, parents or cousins?
I know. I don't want to speak to the extent of the family, but certainly his mother's there. He does have extended family there, but his wife and children have always been American citizens. His children were born here.
So then he was detained. Now, I guess you call it imprisonment for 134 days. When that hit the town, who responded and how have you organized?
So initially, it was quiet because his wife, understandably, was frightened, and her children are in the public school, and she wasn't really sure of her best approach to handling this. So slowly, she started sharing it with friends. Due to my position on the town council, it was brought to me toward the end of September, and another councilwoman, Jacqueline Ganego. And it was two friends of hers. This has all been driven literally by mom friends. It's a group of women. That's how it started. That's what it continues to be today.
It's called what, mom friends?
Yeah. Yes.
MOM?
MOM, like mothers.
Okay, I got it.
Even if we're not all mothers, but that's, we sort of all know each other.
Yeah, I got it.
I describe Haworth. You asked what Haworth was like. Haworth is a town that is very engaged with itself, and where residents are really 1 degree of separation from each other. Because we're so small, the nexus for a lot of people is the school. It's also the library, and then it's these events that go on around town. Not everyone has children, obviously, or their children aren't still in the school, but we only have one school. So we all, and it's there's no busing, so we walk to school, we drive and drop off and pick up, so we see each other constantly. So we had Ope, Yele's wife, come to speak to the council, the governing body.
And everybody knew her? Everybody knows her?
At least of her, yes. Yeah. If not directly, personally, then we knew who she was. We had said hello. Yes, I really barely knew her until this. And now, despite the cause, I'm so grateful that she's in my life because she's a fantastic person. So it came to the town council, the governing body, the chief of police. We all assured her that she has our support and any access to greater power than ourselves. And that was how it started. We started reaching out to Congressman Gottheimer, our senators, and it slowly built, and the group grew bit by bit. And there's an extraordinary amount of professional talent in this town their backgrounds in crisis management, public relations. A strategy was formed. And the first thing that we did was we planned a yellow ribbon ceremony, which we nicknamed a Yele ribbon ceremony. And we had a huge turnout, and we designated a tree in the median of our road, and we tied a ribbon for each day he'd been imprisoned, which was under 100 at that point. And we had prayer, and we had people speak, and it was beautiful. And that really galvanized local coverage. And from there, it's just every day we have an action plan, an update, and we try to come up with more and more contacts that can help get this man home safely to New Jersey, where he belongs, where he lives.
Well, Councilwoman Walsh, I know that Senator Melendez, someone sent me a copy of his speech last week. That was a powerful speech from a U.S. Senator calling for his release. I guess it's is it not up to the Justice Department or something in the Trump administration to negotiate with the Nigerian leadership about getting him out?
Yeah, so let me say this. The Thanksgiving week, our group decided to hold a gratitude rally in Newark outside the offices of Senators Menendez and Booker because they had been involved and we had been having open communication with them. And we wanted to bring more attention to it, and we chose trees right outside their office building. And the representatives from from Senator Menendez's office came downstairs with a letter co-signed by Congressman Gottheimer to the Nigerian ambassador. And that was the first very pointed statement, and that didn't only focus on Yele. There are dozens of journalists imprisoned in Nigeria. And what happened was that really engaged those two representatives in the Congress that we have. Yele had met his bail conditions, which were extremely stringent, and was brought back in for his trial on December 4th, I believe. Despite the fact that he'd met all his bail conditions, he was still in custody. They refused to release him. So the
and what's the charge?
There's numerous charges: treason, inciting violence, speaking out against the president. I mean, none of them are real. They're basically charging him with anything they can to keep him detained and to keep him quiet.
And Amnesty International has declared him a prisoner of conscience.
A prisoner of conscience, yes. And the UN is speaking out for him. The EU is speaking out for him. this has world attention now, and the world is watching to see if Nigeria is going to behave like a democracy or like a military regime. It's gone way too far. You know, as a father, he's missed an entire season in his young children's lives, which seasons for young children revolve around school. He missed the first day of school. He's missed school concerts. He's missed Halloween. He's missed Thanksgiving, their birthdays, on charges that are trumped up, that are imaginary.
The word Trump being...
well, yes, but I will say our State Department is in constant contact with our state representatives and the family, and they are closely monitoring the situation, and we owe a great debt of gratitude to our senators and our congressmen.
Does he have any awareness of the support that he's getting from home? Are people being allowed to see him? Did he have people in court when
Yes. He has an excellent, I believe, famous attorney, Falana, who's been a human rights activist himself in Nigeria. And so his attorney has been able to communicate with his wife. And what happened on December 4th was the judge forced the state police to release him. So he was able to FaceTime with his family. His children were able to see his face, feel reassured. And then what happened, which you may have seen the coverage, was when he went back into court the next day, I believe it was less than 12 hours later, when the judge adjourned again until February, they stormed the courtroom, a hallowed courtroom, and tackled him to the floor and basically re-kidnapped him. The judge ran for her own safety. It was chaos. Since then, they haven't spoken to him.
How's his health? How old a man is he?
48.
Yeah, and his health is okay?
As far as we know.
Yeah. How's his family handling all this?
You know, I will say I give so much credit to his wife, Ope. She is a career woman herself. She works full-time. She has 2 school-age children. She is very bright, and she is very strong. She is a woman of faith, but I think she's been humbled by the support she's been given. I mean, all we've wanted to do is bolster her and keep her feeling optimistic and keep her feeling strong and able to be there to do the same for her children, and she has.
What can we do?
Extensive family. What we can do, we have really made headway with the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Senator Menendez, after Yele was taken from the courtroom so violently, that was when he spoke out what you saw to the cameras with Ope by his side. Angry, forceful, demanding his release. Since that, Senator Booker did the same. Senator Coons, who's on the Foreign Relations Committee, also made a statement. Chuck Schumer just made a statement in the past 48 hours, also condemning his imprisonment. We would like to hear from the entire Foreign Relations Committee. So if you have members living nationally around the country, there are senators from states like Florida, Idaho, Connecticut, Maryland, who can speak out publicly and make statements demanding his unconditional release so he can return home safely where he belongs in Haworth.
Would letters to Senators Melendez and Booker and Schumer, who have spoken out, thanking them or urging them to continue on this, be of help?
Absolutely.
Because most of our listeners are here, but we have people in the Connecticut area. Is Murphy on the...
Murphy's on the committee.
Senator Murphy. And those of you who are listening on the internet, find out if your senator's on the Foreign Relations Committee. But a letter to your own senator.
Menendez, certainly, please. And certainly if you know your senators, if I've mentioned them by name and they have spoken out, yes, express your thanks. Without them, we would not have the momentum we currently have, and urge them to continue and urge other members of the Foreign Relations Committee to speak out as well.
Yes, and you can...
a Democratic ally.
You can identify him by he's known as Yele, Y-E-L-E. I think that's all you have to say in a letter to Senator Melendez or Booker or Schumer or Gillibrand and say, we urge you to continue support of Yele and to bring him back to his family in Haworth. And so thank you to you and your whole community. It's almost like a Frank Capra movie to see a community responding like that. It's an adventure that strengthens and binds your community, which you will probably all realize on that glorious day when, knock on wood, when he returns home, which will be a day of celebration for Haworth.
Yes, thank you. We do identify ourselves as small but mighty, and we are already planning the homecoming party.
Invite me.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, I'll call my cousin and tell her to get me over there.
You're in.
Thanks so
Thank
much
you.
for joining us, and continued
Thank
good
you
luck.
for giving me the time to talk about this. I greatly appreciate it.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
And now